Hello, everyone. Welcome in to episode 186 of Two Countries, Two Americas, All Sports, the only sports podcast to talk about both American and Brazilian sports. I'm Nicola, live as always from Chattanooga, Tennessee, the United States, and joining me from Americana, Sao Paulo, Brazil. It looks like you're at Rio Branco Head HQ. It's Gus Tomazelli. Gus, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Yes, on the press conference room, I had to go here to put some trophies back because I was recording Rubanco podcast early. So I was like, why not do it here? I always like to do here. You know, it's my office, it's my place here. I always like to do it here at Rio Branco Stadium. And while we talk about Rio Branco real quick, since we're starting with soccer podcast, so let's get Brazilian topics, on early. Rio Branco had a little bit of a disappointing performance on Friday, especially in the second part of the second half, because Rio Branco's winning 1-0 at the half and playing so much better. But the interesting part was, of course, the goal. That was goalkeeper blender, and Felipe Moronga took the opportunity. But also, I guess you saw the Rio Branco's PR falling at the field. I guess it was a funny moment.
I'm going to be honest, I totally missed this. What happened?
So basically, I put it on Instagram as well, so you can check it out after. So basically, when Rio Branco scored the goal, let me see if I can put it.
I pull this up. I gotta hear this. So it wasn't you that fell over, right?
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, you fell over. Oh, okay. All right. So obviously, I know you're getting used to running around the field during games instead of calling them.
Yeah. So basically, let me try to put it on.
While you're finding this, so kind of set the scene for me. So obviously, we're in the middle of this game. What are you trying to get at this moment when you're about to fall over?
So basically, Rio Branco scored the goal. Rio Branco scored, and then when Rio Branco scored, let me actually put the video from the broadcast itself, because it feels like it's better to show, because it would show the goal and the moment that I fell. So let me set the scene. Of course, now I'm not calling the games anymore. I am doing what is called here the kind of our social media approach. Putting on Instagram behind the scenes, locker room moments. You know what? Kind of like what VFL films kind of do it.
Right. I've met some people who have done that. It's an interesting job, and those guys get just some insane shots.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not like that. I'm still kind of navigating. This was.
Also depends on the equipment that you have as well.
So Rio Branco's gonna score now. Kind of a goalkeeper mistake. I guess you saw it. So then Felipe Moronga comes here, celebrate with me. See, this is me. The same cap I'm wearing. See, I'm running and I'm running and I'm running, and the grass. See where they're gonna celebrate the goal. There's grass. It was wet, and then wow!
I've done that before. I've totally done that. I've done that with a sousaphone on, man. Like that. That's not fun at all.
I thought it was a little funny. It's kind of the moment. That and then I'm gonna show the result of the film.
So it was the 2019 divisional round. It was the Titans Patriots. Remember, the Titans beat Tom Brady in his last game in New England. I ran outside because I was at home. It was over winter break, and I ran out to my parents' patio, and I slipped on their carpet, celebrating the win. That was hilarious.
But your slip wasn't broadcast for the entire world to see.
God, I wish someone was recording that, because that was great. Peak Titans memory right there. Not like there's a lot of great Titans memories, but that's certainly one of the few.
But so that moment was, you see how I'm running because I had to get the moment, and then when I'm stopped, ram, I try not to hit the players, and then that moment, Laércio always thank you saying badass reporter. I try.
I mean, hey, you're right there in it, and like we have that same mentality in our jobs. Like I want to be right in it. Like I have filmed some stuff like right in the heat of the moment recently. That's just like, wow, I can't believe I get to do this on a day-to-day basis. Like it's cool what we get to do. And
oh yeah, be at the scene, yeah. And let me show the result of it. The kind of the.
I will have to say as well that goalie as well.
What a mistake! What a mistake!
He was terrible.
So see, he's gonna come up. See, this is the video. See, he's gonna celebrate. Oh, yeah. Hold on. Let me. Yeah, I think now it's gonna go. Yeah. So, see, he's gonna celebrate with me.
Yeah. Okay, I love the art celebration there.
Yeah, and then he run, and I run, Gustavo, run, and then look what happens now. Look, the moment that I fell.
Oh, man, I can tell.
Yeah. See how I get the reaction, and the players even kind of laugh. So that was very spontaneous moment.
Like if you did miss a thing.
I didn't miss a thing. That's what I'm saying. I didn't miss a thing.
Dude, that's great.
Because because in broadcasting, and especially when you shoot a video shot, it's really easy to miss a moment when you get distracted or have something happen.
Right. Like I don't think I've ever had anything like that happen to me while working for News 12, at least on the job, because that would be really embarrassing. And then grab the camera for a Lamar Jackson edit. I don't know if I can trust that, but yeah, but that's a crazy moment. That's a moment you'll never forget. Like I feel like you have at least 1 to 2 moments like that every single year of Rio Branco.
Yeah, Rio Branco moments with me. That's fair. Of course, I wish it would have been even more memorable if Rio Branco would have won that game, and that was happening until the middle of the second half, and then Rio Branco lost a key opportunity, and after that, when the team is leading for 10-0 at football, and then they're right there in the end zone to close the deal, 17, and then you had a pick six of interception, and then you change the completely mood of the game, and then the other team scores, and then they score again, ended up winning 24-10 at the fourth quarter, and the other team was like, what, we're winning by double digit. That's exactly what happened to Rio Branco, putting in football perspective.
Yeah. Well, that's...
Yeah, it was on the road, and the sad part of this game was Rio Branco fans, the majority of it couldn't attend because there were 2 buses that went from Americana to Piracicaba to watch that game. But unfortunately, when Rio Branco fans on those buses arrived at the stadium, 15 of Piracicaba fans and even União Barbarense, so-called fans, were there to fight. The police weren't prepared. They also were violent with Rio Branco fans, and then they sent home the fans. So they weren't even able to watch the game.
They showed up and they were intimidated, and they got forced to go home.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
I mean, and I get that Brazil has that issue with fan violence, but I thought that they were taking steps to minimize that.
And the sad part is that the police knew it was a kind of a little bit of it's not like a Rio Branco and Rio Barbarense kind of game, but it still is a rivalry game. It still involves, kind of like a local rivalry, and they should have taken steps to, avoid those fans to meet. And it was a very lack of preparation of the police, and to minimize their work, they sent those fans home because they knew it would have been more problems. But it was a sad situation. I hope it never happens again. And of course, that affect the team on the field, because without the more hardcore fans, probably it made a difference. But of course, 3-1 bad loss. But Saturday's there. Rio Branco plays at home against São Bento. Let's hopefully get the win and go. As our coach said, we're still, we're only 3 points away from the qualifying zone, the G4. So we have 2 games at home. So let's get the W.
Yes. Yep. That's all you can do. Just move on to the next game.
Yeah.
When bad stuff happens, you just keep on going.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think to the big topic and that affects both America and Brazil, and it's not often we
love that.
That we get this, but we have the Club World Cup. It's in full swing here in America today. In fact, actually, we were at a restaurant today. Of course, obviously today is my birthday, and actually also my mother's birthday as well.
Happy birthday, Nick! Happy birthday, Nick, mom. Happy.
I gotta wonder. I wonder how many people were born on their mother's birthday. Like how many sons and moms or daughters and moms share the same birthday. Like it's not a common. I think I've maybe ran to 1 or 2 other people that have ever had that combo. It's definitely a special combo.
Of course.
Go ahead.
No, and I was gonna say, of course, congratulations to the Hill family for your birthday, your mom's birthday. Of course, it's a very special family. Hopefully, one day I get to meet them when I go to Chattanooga. I will go one day.
You will be back in Tennessee. We told you this when you were in Florida. You will be back in Tennessee one day, and you'll see Neyland Stadium again one day. In any case, I bring that up because we went to a Mexican restaurant today. And on the TV, there was the Bayern Munich and SL Benfica game. And it was at the Panthers Stadium or Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. And shockingly, I think Benfica won 1-0.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised. And Bayern Munich should have won this game. They had several chances to win. But I know there was one, they had a goal around the 60th minute. And of course, I wasn't paying close attention because I was eating with my family. But I was looking up at it occasionally, and they had a really good strike, but there was a guy way, way, way offsides. And
but you know why they lost? Because Bayern Munich wanted to avoid Chelsea on the playoffs. Because let me put the situation here on the group stage to show even better. So the 2 teams on Group C are going to play the 2 teams on Group D. And see how Flamengo is basically going to finish first, because I don't believe Flamengo either is going to lose by 2 or 3 goals, or even Chelsea going to score more goals. So
I want to do this. RIP Auckland City FC, Chattanooga's own. I'm so sorry.
But they score a point. They didn't lose to Boca Juniors. That was impressive.
Yeah, I mean,
congratulations.
I feel like Boca Juniors, that has to be probably one of the more disappointing performances.
Yeah, because they started with a very high hope. They started 2-0 against Benfica. If they had kept a win, they would advance, because it would have been 4 points against 4 points against 6, and if they probably would have won against Auckland City. But I mean, Boca Juniors has one of the worst teams probably in their last 15 years. So that wasn't surprising, at least for the South American fans, that Boca Juniors was eliminated in the pre-qualifications of the Libertadores. So but it still was probably the most disappointing performance in this FIFA Club World Cup.
I mean, that's especially knowing South American soccer that's going to get someone fired, I would imagine.
Oh yeah,
that's not a disaster. I almost pulled, because that game was in Nashville, but we're in the middle of a heat wave right now, Gus. It's 100 degrees. I don't really want to go outside at 2 p.m. Central Time.
So jealous.
But
here it's cold. Here's cold. It's cold in Brazil.
I got to go to one of the Atlanta games, though. Those games are inside air conditioning. So that I'll do. But
the next Atlanta game is going to be featuring Lionel Messi.
Yeah, I got to look up and see how much those tickets are. Atlanta be crazy this weekend, because it's not just that, but you also have NASCAR this weekend as well. So it's going to be a busy, busy weekend. But speaking of Messi, Inter Miami blew. It's so hard. I mean, granted, it was a draw 2-2, but they were up 2-0 in this game. If I think heading into the 75th minute, and then Palmeiras just surged. And granted, Palmeiras dominated this game from possession. They were going. I mean, Luis Suarez in the first half just had an insane goal, an incredible goal.
I mean, that's what he do. Even playing with 50% of his physical capacity, he's still a one of a kind generational player.
Yeah, and so I mean, obviously the Miami is obviously a retirement home team, but it's a retirement home team of legends. And hey, but that Palmeiras team, and I'll say this: that crowd last night for Palmeiras was insane. Miami felt like a road team in their own city.
I wasn't surprised because Florida has a big Brazilian community. You saw in Orlando when we were there were restaurants in Orlando dedicated 100% to Brazilians. Like you saw that. So you wonder how many Brazilians and especially Palmeiras fans that are known to be the richer kind of fans. Palmeiras fans are new to be rich fans. So probably a lot of them also flew from Campinas, from São Paulo. They showed up. They did did you saw the SEP kind of we call mosaico, the letters?
Yes.
The Palmeiras fans showed up and that was a kind of a taste that I've been telling you for so long what Palmeiras do. Palmeiras, they can be down 1, they can be down 2-0, but they are a resilient F team. They are resilient as F because they don't give up. They find ways to draw, to win. That's what kind of the juice of Palmeiras, and
it was impressive to watch last night as well. Because at one point when they were down 2-0, I think it was all Ollie. Like they were up on FC Porto, and at one point that difference between Palmeiras and Ollie was like 1 goal.
Yeah,
like, Palmeiras was in danger at one point in that second half.
I think they probably didn't take the game as serious as they should, but when they did, they show why they're winning everything in South America and in Brazil. And I mean, I cannot wait. And how soccer gods work. I mean, soccer gods are, what are their matchup that has been the featuring in 2023, 2024, and again? What is the matchup that kind of encapsulates Brazil for the last 2 years? And they're gonna face it again. I mean,
and what city is that gonna be in?
Philadelphia. Unfortunately, it's gonna be in Philly.
Man, if that thing were in Florida, that would be a crazy joint right there.
Yeah, because probably better than a lot of Americans know in Philly how this matchup is going to mean for both of those teams from the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean it's the ultimate, because you tell me how much like people in Brazil care about this particular competition.
Oh, they're caring a lot. I mean, I know you're going to discuss about crowd and the kind of success from the American standpoint, but the Brazilian standpoint is 100% success. The media is going crazy. Even like rivals are, cheering for Brazilian clubs because they want to be like the Brazilian proud. When Botafogo beat PSG, Corinthians fans, Flamengo fans, Palmeiras fans, Vasco fans, they were happy because we're like, Brazil can beat an European team.
Yeah, I mean, and that makes sense. It's like a conference thing a little bit in terms of like
the SEC, Big 12 kind of.
When someone beats the SEC from like from a lower conference,
MAC or Pac-12, the current one.
Yeah, like it's very important to them when they're able to do it.
Especially the kind of way some folks at the Brazilian sports media kind of been downgrading Brazilian soccer, saying like second level European teams could easily win the Brazilian league. So that kind of changes how you view even your rivals, because the feeling you have for being proud of your country. And some folks that I watch, like Rica Perrone is one of them, like this can affect next year's World Cup, because this feeling of we love our soccer can bring for the national team. Be like, hey, we can beat the European team. We can beat on club to club. Then we can, in our nation, can beat the European team again. Because remember, the last time Brazil beat an European team in a World Cup in the knockout stage was in the finals in 2002.
Yeah, and I think as well, right? Like Brazil, to an extent, they lost a bit of national pride back in 2014 when Germany walked in there and won 7-1.
Yeah.
And they've been searching to get back to that point. They had to reclaim that because before that, Brazil had an aura and Germany came in and took it away. You know, like how do you get that aura back? And the Club World Cup is, I think it's definitely a start. Like
Yeah.
Botafogo proven they can compete, and of course, Botafogo is owned by an American owner, so I'm sure there's extra pressure on
I
Botafogo
mean,
to perform.
you gotta love John Texter. I mean, the way he celebrated with the players, the way he interact with fans. I mean, you gotta love him. I mean, I wish one day, and I'm gonna try to pull the moves to bring him on our podcast because it would have been amazing to have his perspectives on the Brazilian soccer because he's been enjoying so much. But in terms of the matchup on Saturday, noon American time, 1 p.m. Brazil time. I mean, I think it's going to be because remember, 2023, Palmeiras, an incredible win, being down 3-0, winning 4-3, and eventually winning the Brazilian League. Last year, Botafogo took down Palmeiras in both Libertadores and in the Brazilian League. So kind of now, I think Palmeiras had the chip on the shoulder like Botafogo had last year.
Absolutely. I mean, whoever wins this game is going to have the Brazilian pressure on their back, and there's going to be a lot of pride in winning this match because, yeah, you have Libertadores every year. You have the Brazilian National League every single year. You don't have this every year. There's so much more on this one match than any of those other ones, and I think it's going to be intense. I think you're going to see cards be thrown in this game. To me, though, that Palmeiras team I saw last night and the way they're resilient, that's a team that looks like they can get it done.
Yeah, I think Palmeiras has been down this road before. Of course, last year when they met, but the only matchup they have in the knockout stage was in the round of 16 Libertadores. Botafogo ended up qualifying, but it was down to the wire. Remember, Palmeiras has a goal disallowed at the last minute, and then it was the Palmeiras player hit the post in the free kick. But I think Palmeiras have a more juice in terms of a one-game playoff, and Palmeiras coach has his team on his hand more. But I think it's going to be a 50-50 matchup. I think it's going to go down to penalties.
Mm-hmm. And then on the other end, too, what do you think about Miami versus PSG? I mean, PSG is going to be a significant favorite here. Any chance Miami pulls off an upset?
No, let's be real. I mean, PSG, even though they're like the European teams, I mean, we saw, in this group stage are not taking 100% seriously. Of course, it's not they don't care about winning. It's just they, unlike European teams are the only ones playing this tournament where they are at the end of their regular season. The South American, North American, Asian, African teams, they're all in the middle of their season. And the European teams are at the end of the season. So, of course, they have the kind of the fatigue, kind of the physical side. But I don't think Inter Miami has the strength to beat PSG. But I think for Inter Miami, eliminating Porto, it was already, I mean, who would have thought Inter Miami would advance this group? I mean, they already surpassed any expectations on this tournament.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and obviously it was controversial that they were even in here in the first place, that they prove they belong.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it was sad that people didn't understand that I'm going to, say, of course, FIFA kind of wanted to put it there, but they wanted to support their shield. It wasn't like they were in the bottom of the MLS, they were picked. They did something to be there. But of course, they showed that they didn't embarrass. Unlike For me, Seattle Sounders really disappointed because they play all their games in Seattle. Wasn't like Miami. Miami only played their last game in Miami. Seattle played all their games at Lumen Field. They had all their fans there, and they truly disappointed. For me, Seattle disappointed even more than Auckland City.
Yeah, well, I mean, Auckland City had no expectations.
Yeah.
Into this tournament. And after they got rocked 10-0, I mean, they played better each subsequent match, including today. But all right. So obviously, moving down to today, we mentioned that Benfica and Bayern Munich, Benfica won.
But I think, as I said earlier, I think kind of was, a little bit of, Bayern Munich wanted to avoid Chelsea and wanted to play Flamengo in a knockout. It felt a little bit like that. And of course, Flamengo fans were like, damn, we're going to have to face Bayern Munich.
Yeah. So, Flamengo and Chelsea play each other here. So how do you think that's going to
And what a win by Flamengo, 3-1. They were down 1-0 in the second half, and they completely dominated the second half. And what a win. And they're going to play LAFC tonight. I think it's going to be a draw because Flamengo just needed a draw to confirm a qualification, and LAFC is eliminated. So I think it's going to be a draw.
Yeah, and I know Chelsea fans are not very happy.
Oh, yeah, they are not.
Yeah. All right, bottom half here. So how do you think these are going to play out here?
Real quick, I think River Plate and Inter Nacional are going to qualify in this group E. I wonder it's going to be first place or second place. They're going to play each other to see. Group F, I expect Fluminense to qualify as well. It's going to be a battle against Mamelodi Sundowns from South Africa because they're going to have to win because, they cannot. I guess a draw would take care of business because if Fluminense draw, they going to be in second place. So I guess Fluminense is going to be second and Borussia first. And then Group H and G, no surprise there. Juventus, Man City, Real Madrid, and Salzburg. I don't see Juventus and Man City really got an easy group.
Yeah. So I guess this last group stage is just like, whatever, between the two of them. I guess overall, obviously just talking about the tournament as a whole, right? You mentioned that from a Brazilian standpoint, this thing is a success. People are engaged. However, here in America, you look at the stadiums, they've been pretty. Now, last night Miami was not empty. That place was packed. But like today, like Charlotte for Bayern Munich and SL Benfica, that thing was about a third full. I didn't see Nashville. I'm assuming it was pretty empty. Now, I will say this. I really think FIFA's got to find a way to not be putting these games outside in the middle of the summer afternoon. It's going to be difficult because so much of the U.S. gets just so hot this time of the year.
But it's going to be the time zone dilemma because, of course, you would prefer to put those games at night. But if you put the majority of games in, Eastern time at night, it's going to be like early morning in Europe. It's going to be like what? 1 a.m., 2 a.m.?
Yeah. I just know that, because that's one of the main reasons I didn't even want to go to Nashville.
Yeah.
That game.
Yeah. But FIFA, of course, has to think about the European viewers that watch the game at TV.
Right. And then obviously it adds into some choppiness, right? Because you have to take water breaks. And I know we did it in 2014 in Brazil, right? Like, especially with the game in the rainforest and Manaus.
But one thing that caused Brazilians to be really kind of confused was the rain and the thunder protocols. They thought Americans were too strict. For example, Palmeiras and Al Ahly was a sun, and they had to stop the game because there was a threat of thunderstorms.
Right, but it's an 8-mile radius. In the United States, anytime there's lightning within 8 miles, you have to stop for at least 30 minutes.
But Brazilian fans, they don't have that protocol here, so they were like very confused.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like we've had people die in sporting events from stuff like that. So even just when I'm at like the pool, like, and if I know there's storms in the area, I kind of watch that and I'll follow that rule because like I have a radar app where I can measure the distances. Um, so that's definitely just kind of ingrained into the culture here. You know, you're very much told when thunder roars, you go indoors. Like that's the saying you are fed from a little child here in America.
Yeah, but that's why try to explain to my fellow Brazilians, but of course they made fun of it. They were showing memes of, in America they stopped the game with the sun, and in Brazil it's pouring rain and the game keep on going. So there were a lot of memes, but it is what it is, and I'm excited for the playoffs. At least 3 Brazilians are in. I guess I hope it's gonna be 4 with Fluminense, but I mean it's gonna be really incredible playoff weekend in the FIFA Club World Cup.
Absolutely. And that's not the only cup going on. We also have the Gold Cup ongoing as well. And hey, the U.S. men's team managed to not screw it up. And they are moving on to the knockout stage to play Costa Rica. Now, they were taken to the limit by Haiti of all teams, which is not a good sign. Like they had to score a game winner in the 75th minute. And to be honest with you, I'm not very high on the U.S. here in these knockout stages. It just feels like, honestly, they could lose to Costa Rica on Sunday.
Yeah, but they gotta at least prove they can be competitive. That's what they have shown this Gold Cup. Because I know Gold Cup is not appealing. It's not a tournament that gets American excited because they're not playing with the European teams. They're playing with the Central and North American teams. But the matchup against Costa Rica is gotta show United States can be competitive.
Right, because if you go out and you lose to Costa Rica, it's going to make all the conversation around the team even worse. Because, the conversation around the USMT has been it hasn't been fun in recent weeks, especially after the 4-0 shellacking to Switzerland. So you got to prove you can go out there and win this trophy. Pochettino needs to go out there and prove he can win this trophy with the U.S. men's team. Just get any sort of positive momentum. This is like winning, like the Citrus Bowl. This is like winning one of those non-playoff bowl games before the big show next year.
Yeah,
we can't even do this. Then it's going to be a long year until we see what happens next year in the actual World Cup.
Yeah, that's what I expect to see. Hopefully, the U.S. team can at least make to the final and win the Gold Cup to at least have some momentum for next year.
Absolutely. Now, from that, obviously, those are ongoing to what has been completed and something that made me really, really sad over the weekend. The Oklahoma City Thunder won what I am declaring a Mickey Mouse ring. I'm not declaring this a real championship.
Oh, Nick, I think you're exaggerating.
I'm sorry. Like if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't get hurt,
but injuries take part of in sports. Injury take part. It's different than, for example, the Lakers 2020. There were no home court advantage. It was a kind of unique situation. Okay, you can claim that wasn't 100%. The Oklahoma City Thunder championship was legit as.
Okay, I'm just a little salty. And obviously I'm not a hardcore Indiana fan, but Jason.
I was rooting for Indiana too. I wanted the Pacers to win because of our friend Jason Warwick. But Oklahoma City was the better team overall. Even Jason pointed out.
Yeah, well, the series was decided in Game 4. That's where the Oklahoma City Thunder won it because Indiana had the lead all the second half there, and they just couldn't finish the deal against OKC in that game. Now, a lot of Pacers fans are saying, including Jason, that the NBA called the series against the Pacers. And I'll be honest, I don't think the officiating was fair in this series. I thought Oklahoma City got away with a lot more than what the Pacers did. I just think when you look back at the tape, to me, Oklahoma City got away with a lot, especially in that Game 4 where they came back and won. And yes, at the end of the day, right, the Pacers had their chances. And to be fair, I'm not going to blame the refs solely for the Pacers' loss here because They, in the fourth quarter, played just horrific offense in game 4. Just jacked up a lot of threes, stopped being aggressive. And because like game 6, like was the perfect show that showed why Indiana was great in this postseason. But obviously losing Hallie, and to be fair to Indiana, they kept on fighting. They were up at halftime in this game, but they just didn't have the horses in that second half. Some of the lineups they had in that second half, are lineups that you never would have thought you would have seen in an NBA Finals Game 7. Now, TJ McConnell, shout out to that dude. He was absolutely clutch throughout this series, but it just wasn't enough. And Oklahoma City, they were just better rounded. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander showed up every single night. Well, okay, he was awful in game 6, but the key difference between game 6 and game 7 for SGA, in game 6, I believe he had 2 assists to like 8 turnovers. He was horrible, just completely reckless with the basketball. In game 7, he was like over 10 assists to no turnovers. And turnovers were the key in this series. Basically, if you look at every game, it correlates to who had more turnovers in terms of who lost the game. In Indiana, throughout these playoffs, there were times where they got loosey-goosey with the basketball. And unfortunately, in game 7, without Tyrese Halliburton on the court, it just fell apart for them. And Oklahoma City, I just wonder what this game would have looked like with Tyrese Halliburton at full strength. But hey, you're right that there's other players on the court, and Oklahoma City fought to get to that game 7, and they earned the right to win the championship.
And it's gonna be like a lot of teams that lose championship do the what ifs. What if, I can't remember the top of my head, but there's what if this player didn't get injured?
Well, I know Tennessee fans, they always are like, well, what happens if Hooker doesn't get hurt against South Carolina? Which I always have to remind them. We were down 18 already when he got hurt. So, we were losing that game with or without that injury.
But there's always the what ifs in sports, and that's going to be another episode of that. But OKC deserved. They have a promising GM that clearly is one of the best in the game. And what's scary is that this OKC roster is young, so they're gonna have a lot more year.
And like SGA, he probably deserved the MVP, but Jalen Williams, I think, maybe should have won this because he was in the wins, like he was very clutch. He made just timely shots, very good on defense. I thought he was at times in the series superb. Now, I kind of insulted him in the last episode, and then he went out and dropped a 40-piece the game after. So I'll kind of take the blame on that one in terms for kind of cursing the Pacers a little bit. But I was a little disappointed to see the Thunder win, but they deserved it. I'm glad I'm just not a hardcore Pacers fan because I feel bad for all of them, like because I've never seen their team win a title and they're still gonna have to wait.
Yeah, and there's Jason Warwick. Just to wrap up this topic, there's gonna be a day where Indiana Pacers are gonna win our NBA championship. I guarantee.
Absolutely, but I don't
it
think
took.
Go ahead.
It took a century for the Cubs to win again. Indiana is gonna get there.
Right, but the problem is we may not have a century to see us win. It's like with the Vols football and the Titans. We don't know how much time we got to watch our teams. And the thing about the Pacers moving forward is, Halliburton has a torn Achilles, and the question is, should he have played through his injury in game 6 and 7? Because Tyrese Halliburton was like, I would sit this out, but this is the NBA Finals. I'm gonna play.
I mean, when your star says he can play, of course you're not gonna take him out. And what kind of a player in basketball, football, soccer want to sit out on the most dramatic and important moment of the season? Of course you want to be there. You want to sacrifice your body for that. So I praise Halliburton. He's going to go back stronger, and he's going to be the next Reggie Miller. Indiana Pacers fans really appreciate what he did, I bet.
And the thing I'm hopeful for, because he's probably going to lose some of his athleticism due to this injury. But what I am hopeful for when it comes to Halliburton is his intelligence as a passer will keep him at a high level. Now, he's probably not going to play next year, but beyond that, in terms of what the Pacers can or cannot keep, we were talking about this the other day in terms of like, well, can Siakam stay? Who else on this team can stay? The Pacers are going to have to make some moves. It's not going to be easy for them to get back here, but I'll say this, that team has the heart of a lion. They never quit. That was the most fun I've had watching NBA basketball in a very, very long time. And they were inspiring to watch throughout this postseason. And I hate it. They came up just short, but man, I salute to the Pacers. They are the people's champion. Even if they're not the real champion, they are the people's champion because they kept on fighting and they played a pure brand of basketball.
Yeah, and they're going to be back next year.
All right, but the world keeps on spinning, and we have some NBA moves to talk about. So the biggest one is Kevin Durant is still being treated like a top commodity in the NBA, even though he's 37 years old. He was traded to the Houston Rockets for multiple pieces. I mean, if you're Houston, right? Like I just don't know about this, man. Like KD cannot stay healthy anymore. He's nowhere near the guy he used to be. Now, if this were 10 years ago, absolutely, you make this trade. But this is 2025 Kevin Durant we're talking about. He's almost at 20 years. He is not he's not that guy that he used to be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's in the downfall of his career. The Rockets are kind of trying to get a less juice out of him. And because third time is a charm. I mean, the Nets Durant relationship didn't work out. The Suns Durant relationship didn't work out. So let's see if in Houston he's gonna work out.
Yeah, someone's asking us, please will the Channel Shelf live match Chelsea versus actually. Sorry, we can't.
Nope,
do that.
we can't. We can't. I don't want my YouTube channel or my Facebook page to be banned.
Absolutely. Yeah, and definitely Phoenix is going to a rebuild for sure. I mean, it's the Phoenix Suns. They swung for the fences. Those 2 Game 7 meltdowns against the Dallas Mavericks defined this core, and they're going to be it's going to be a while, I think, before they're back. Now,
yeah.
Additionally, the Boston Celtics as well are making some interesting changes. They've traded away both Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis to try to free up the salary cap and try to get out of their luxury tax situation as well. Do we think the Celtics are past their peak at this point? Because we saw they had some injuries in this postseason, and the East is getting more competitive.
They're trying to play the moves. They're trying to keep competitive in the East. So and that's what the NBA pretty much now is facing. Now is the era of making moves to avoid salary cap hell and luxury tax. So, they do what they got to do.
Absolutely. Now, kind of speed round there's some of these other topics. Now we do have the NBA draft this week. Of course, we expect Cooper Flagg to be the very first pick to the Dallas Mavericks to be the Luka replacement. It'll be interesting to see if he can even come close to replacing Luka because those Dallas fans are still furious. Spurs are 2, 76ers 3, Charlotte's 4, and they're on and so forth. Of course, we'll talk more about where these guys actually go next week. Real quick, Omaha, LSU won the national championship over Coastal Carolina. It's second time in 3 years. They're 8th overall. I hate to admit this, it probably submits them as the best college basketball or college baseball program right now, just because, or really just of all time. I mean, they're just a really, really solid program that's always in the hunt.
And shout out to Coastal Carolina. I mean, second College World Series final in what, 9 years? That's impressive for a small program.
Absolutely. Like LSU is the only program I will entertain. Like LSU can come to me and say, we're a better program than Tennessee. I'm like, okay, you're right. Everyone else, though, can sit down. I don't want to hear it from anyone else. LSU, I will concede. Of
Like
course,
some people in Fayetteville.
yeah, some people in Fayetteville, Arkansas, yeah, they can sit down. You're not better than Tennessee. Not until you got what we got 1 year ago today on my 26th birthday, the national championship. Still an all-time moment. Jason and I watched it together in Knoxville. It was incredible. The victory party episode the day after, I still go back and watch that episode sometimes. It was us two, Jason and Dylan. It was an awesome episode. Loved it. One of my favorites. When we do episode 200, I'll have to, remember at episode 100 in a montage, I'm going to do that again for episode 200, and that'll be certainly on the montage for sure. Real quick, some MLB talk. I just want to shout out Cal Riley, the catcher for the Twins. He's at 32 homers now. He's hit homers in 4 straight games. He had 5 homers against the Cubs this weekend. Just going absolutely crazy. So he's really, really good. Chase Burns, of course, we've had fun at his expense on this podcast. Of course, former Tennessee. He basically is the prodigal son, left us, went to Wake Forest, which we won the title without him. But hey, he's in the MLB now. He started for the Reds tonight, and he, in his first 2 innings tonight, had 6 strikeouts in the first 2 innings. So, Chase Burns proving he belongs. In fact, his stat line through in the bottom of the 7th. Okay, so he pitched 5 innings. He had 8 strikeouts, no walks. He did give up 6 hits and 3 earned runs. So, not great, but for a first-time rookie, not bad. And showed that he has great command. So, whatever. Obviously, there's a lot of angst towards him in the Tennessee fan base. I wish him luck. His 2023 Southern Miss appearance is one of my all-time Tennessee sports moments, even if he left us after the fact. So, in any case, also, I just want to mention this real quick. In the college football 26 home field advantage rankings, they have Neyland Stadium at 12, Gus. At 12. There are not 11 stadiums louder and better than Neyland Stadium. Stop it. They had Clemson ahead of us, Oklahoma ahead of us, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. Look, I know Ohio State.
Ohio State? You guys went there in the playoff game. How better it was.
Yeah, no, it was not louder. We were 30, 40% there, man. Look, I get they blew us out, but that place was not louder than Neyland. Williams-Brice was louder than Ohio State. Come on. Get out of here with that nonsense. But in any case, that game drops here in a few weeks. I'm excited for it. Last thing real quick, Trace Briscoe won a fuel race at Pocono, his first one of the year. First one with Joe Gibbs Racing. And they're at Echo Park Speedway, which is really just Atlanta this week. And one of my favorite racetracks on the circuit right now. But that is all the time we have today for Two Countries, Two Americas, All Sports. For Gus Tomazelli, I'm Nick Hill.
For the birthday boy, happy birthday, Nick.
You're 27. Let's make it a good one. We're gonna ride and thrive. Have a great night.